Welcome to the 10th unit of IMC MMP M007 Block 3 Budget Considerations of IMC. A small reflection into IMC, and then we come to the budget considerations. All of an organization's communication, the medium and the message about the product or the brand or the service or the company itself that reach out to the market to influence the customer for a desired action, like preferring the brand, buying their products or availing their services, and the act of approximately how the customer would be roped into their customer list and then have the relationship is what the marketing communications attempts to, and the various activities that are involved into this, be it advertising, be it sales promotion, direct marketing, or say our social media marketing, the online promotions, the influencer reach, all these activities and the various activities that the company brings in, like the events of launch, or say the awards that they receive, and they want to flaunt that to increase the brand image. These all are basically the integrated marketing communication that reach to these prospects and customers through various channels. Now, IMC is not just about the communication, the tactics, but also about how well your audience is included, engaged, and integrated into the IMC activities or IMC campaigns. Now, in order to have a successful IMC objective fulfilled, and engage the audiences to the desired extent that they have a continuous base of customers generate that so that it helps to create the revenue and accomplish the marketing goals. It all requires a lot of expenditure as well. Now, every attempt that we make, be it an advertisement, be it a sales promotion, be it engaging a personal selling executive, or the direct marketing or content building, so that the customers get exposed to our activities, our products, our brand image, we are spending money. So whenever it comes to spending money, and where are we spending that from? Obviously from a revenue generator. So that the continuous process of earning and spending and further increasing the earnings or the revenue, we spend more. Now this cycle calls for something called a budget. Now budget is the projection of the income and expenditure for a specific time frame, like a month, a quarter, or a year. And it is a crucial activity for the business, for the managers, the individuals that are engaged into this, to reach that message to the customer. Now, in order to avoid overspending, we need to have a specific budget. So expenses should be deducted from the predicted income before any remaining funds are allocated to the expenditure, or to the expenditure for the campaigning projects and other initiatives. Now, budget facilitates managers to think about ensuing changes and be prepared to face adversities. Now, in case there is a change in the market, there is a change in the customer behavior, and the current product is not selling, or the competition is coming up with alternate products, then we need to increase our exposure. We need to increase our reach to customers help them recall about our brand, our product and service, and thereby ensure that the prospects, the customers prefer us over the competition. So whatever change happens in the environment may call for a sudden expenditure, for which there needs to be some allocation. So a budget actually facilitates the managers to be ready for such kind of a sudden needs. Now, budget also facilitates managers to consider the connections between their own operations and activities of other departments, which aid in the coordination of the organizing activities. Also, budget facilitates managers to manage the resources. Sometimes the allocated budget may not be sufficient, and you may have to channel out from other sources. So, when you manage the sources better, uh, you can meet those unexpected expenditure and ensure that the objectives of the uh, IMC are kept intact. Budget also facilitates managers to inform the center managers, that is the department heads, about the company's plans and the funds involved. It also encourages to work hard to meet their financial targets and to assess the effectiveness of managers as well. And finally, budget also facilitates in providing an insight into company's performance. Now, IMC budget in specific is a structured procedure for planning, monitoring, evaluating the results of spending on marketing communications activities like advertising, direct marketing, online marketing, or events which provide the marketing communication, and to allocate a budget to all these activities. Now, the budget for IMC, how do we plan for it? A company's advertising and promotions budget may run from a few thousands to some few billion dollars. Must be considered as an investment rather than an expenditure, and managers must ensure the return on such investment. So, before we discuss budgeting approaches, let us refresh some theoretical frameworks used for budget calculation, like the marginal analysis. Now, sales and gross margins increase along with an increase in the advertising and promotion costs. Well, this happens up to a point before it levels off. Now, gross margin minus all advertising costs will will give us the actual source of profit. So, according to this hypothesis, a company would continue to invest in ads as long as the marginal revenues surpass the costs. But there is a problem. What if the company requires to continue advertising? Because the sales are dipping, but then they do not have the budget for such expansion of advertising. Well, we need to check this, but some at times it might so happen because of the generation of income, and since the sales are happening, you continue to advertise, but you may not require to advertise because the product is already established in the market, and the customers do not require any reminder. So in which case even though the even though the revenue increases, you needn't actually spend. So once we get to understand the stage of the product life cycle, possibly we can decide whether we need to further advertise the product or not. So marginal analysis may not stand true at all times. So now what we can how we can interpret here is that though it appears to be a very rational approach that it is generating revenue and we can spend further and advertise more so that more markets can be tapped, more customers can be included, and higher business can be achieved. But we may not be sure whether it is advertising and promotion which is causing this increase in sales and the revenue generation. Possibly there are other factors. Possibly this product which you are dealing with has become a lifestyle, or it has become a basic, so people keep buying the product. Okay, and it doesn't really require any advertising. The other presumption is that sales are direct outcome of advertising spend. You may not be sure. There may be other factors as well, right? So we then move on to the other concept, that is the sales response model. Now, this depicts how sales have flattened despite increased advertising over a period of time. Even if the advertising continues, sales have flattened. Now, this concave downward function predicts that the impact of advertising starts to fade, as explained by the law of diminishing returns. Now, according to this model, less advertising money might be required to have most impact in sales. Okay. Now, the other model we need to understand is the S-shaped response curve. Now, the S-shaped response curve can be divided into three parts of the ad spend in the initial stage, where uh, the stage A, where the product market is just picking up. Now, it indicates the initial expenditure of advertising budget have little impact in this stage, and as the market share increases, then the, the voice has to improve, or the advertising has to increase. So more increments of spending lead to higher sales in the second phase. And in the third phase, where it flattens, now any new expenditure may start to yield little or um, less sales. So now let us look at the different budget approaches. Broadly, they are divided into top-down strategy or bottom-up strategy, where the top management decides and allocates the budget. Uh, we call them the top-down strategies. And here the budgetary amount is set by the executives and is distributed to various departments. Now, there are certain approaches here, the affordable approach, or the random distribution approach, or the percentage of sale approach, and the competitive parity approach, or the return on investment approach. There are these approaches in the top down model. And let us go through each of these model and understand how it impacts in a business to business or an FMCG company. Now, when it comes to planning and executing IMC strategies, budgeting becomes a critical decision point for both the business to to business firms and the FMCG firms. However, the approach each sector takes often differs based on the nature of their audience. It may even depend on the product life cycle or the sales process they practice. Despite these differences, several practical budgeting methods are commonly used across these sectors. So let us see each of these in detail. First, let us talk about the percentage sales method. This is perhaps the most widely used method, especially in the FMCG firms, where marketing is a consistent and major function. You need because there is more movement of the product and replenishment of the goods continuously, and you'll have to keep a track about the movement and your market share. So you have to continuously spend on the advertising budget, right? So brands like Hindustan Lever or Unilever or Nestle set aside a fixed percentage of the previous year's sale, or may go for a projected sales for the upcoming year and decide on a percentage of this revenue to be generated, and allocate that amount for the advertising or the IMC activities. Now, if we take in FMCG, let's take an example. Say, suppose Dabur India Limited, the toothpaste division in particular, suppose made around 200 crores in the previous year by sales. So they may practice a budget rule like, say, suppose 8% of the sale of previous year sale they would allocate to IMC activities. So 8% of 200 crores is around 16 crores. So for the current year's spend for IMC activities, Dabur has decided to spend 16 crores. Similarly, if we look at the B2B firms, say suppose a industrial lubricant manufacturer has got a sales of around 50 crores in the previous year, 2024, 24-25, and they decide that they can allocate 5% of the sales. So they're allocating 2.5 crores for the current year's IMC activities. While the FMCG may allocate to activities like, say, TV ads or in-store promotions, or say rural activations. The B2B organization may allocate these funds to white papers or LinkedIn ads, or say dealer training videos, right? And the money spent here is expected to generate a higher revenue. Okay. Then let us look at the objective and task method. Now, each marketing department and the company have got an objective to attain. Maybe awareness, maybe market share, maybe product reach. So whatever they are planning, now based on these objectives and the task they decide to conduct, based on the expenditure incurred, they would assign an amount, right? So this method of objective and task is common both in FMCG and sorry, and B2B firms. Let us take an example. Say, suppose a SaaS firm, software as a solution, a SaaS firm targeting enterprise business clients may define goals like generating 500 qualified leads through LinkedIn ads or through webinars or through, say, industry events. Uh, then they calculate the cost for each of these activity and the overall cost they need to incur for conducting these tasks in order to attain an objective. So, what is the objective? To generate 500 qualified leads. Okay. Say, suppose the LinkedIn ads will cost around 4 lakhs, and the healthcare web, say a webinar may cost them around 2 lakhs. A sponsored white paper distribution may cost them a lakh and a half, and some email automation tools, a training on that may cost them a lakh. So 4 plus 2, 6 plus 1.5, 7.5 and 1 lakh, 8 lakhs. So they require 8.5 lakhs. So an IMC budget of 8.5 lakhs is what they expect to spend in order to generate those 500 leads. So the task, the objective, and the budget. Let's take an example of FMCG firm. A new product launch may require building awareness in, say, tier 1 cities via an influencer program and mass media. The costs are then built around these tasks. So suppose influencer campaign will cost them 5 lakhs. The Instagram and YouTube ads may cost them around 10 lakhs. You may make a YouTube video and you may require possibly, the cost of producing that short film may cost you enough. So around 10 lakhs you may allot to the YouTube ad. You may even go for a sponsorship at a college to the tune of 3 lakhs you can sponsor. And maybe you will distribute some samples of the product. Well, did I mention we would be actually, the new product is suppose a health drink, okay, and the objective here is to have at least 10,000 trial purchases. So 10,000 trial purchases. So the youngsters, the millennials, or the Gen Zs who you are targeting, so you can go for a university or a college event sponsorship and spend around 3 lakhs, and you can give samples at colleges, or say where the youngsters gather, a gym, right? So you can spend around 2 lakhs there. So 5 lakhs for your influencer campaign, 10 lakhs for Instagram and YouTube, 15, and then 3 lakhs for a sponsorship, 18, and then 2 lakhs for samples to be distributed at a gym, around 20 lakhs, right? So you are deciding to spend 20 lakhs on these tasks in order to have an objective, that is having at least 10,000 trial purchases. Okay. Now let us look at the advantages and disadvantages of such a plan. It is rational and goal driven because you have a task and you have an objective to fulfill. And this ensures spending um, match between spending matches in the marketing objectives, right? So whatever task and the marketing objectives will be achieved. So you're trying to strike a balance between or you match the investment and the return that you are expecting. Well, there is one drawback in this, kind of like the time consumed, and it requires actually a lot of forecasting. So the cost of time, or you say the opportunity cost of time here, may be a hindrance, but otherwise, this is a good method. So the objective task method, it can be preferred if you have enough time in hand and the right forecasting experts who tell you exactly like the closest figure that you need to allocate in order to attain that objective. Let us look at the third method, competitive parity method, they say. This method benchmarks against the competitors' spend. How much is a competitor spending? We can take examples like Coca-Cola might analyze Pepsi's ad spend to maintain a share of voice in a specific region and spend accordingly. Or we can take the example of Britannia versus Parle-G. Now, Britannia learns that Parle-G is spending around 30 crores on biscuits alone, biscuit advertising alone in the northern India, right? Now, what would you decide basing on this? Britannia decides to match with a 30 crore spend to maintain the share of voice in this region. So, what would you do? Like, you may go for, TV advertising, like say suppose if 15 crore allocated to TV advertising, and another 10 crore allocated to digital advertising, and you may also consider the this being an FMCG, you can even consider to spend some money at the store level, right? So retail displays, around say 5 lakhs, so 30 crores, right? Uh, Similarly, let's consider a business to business firm. Say suppose a cloud storage provider might track Microsoft Azure's expenditure. um, they may estimate how much Microsoft Azure is spending. Say suppose Microsoft Azure is spending around 50 lakhs annually on trade fairs and B2B journalists. Sorry, uh, B2B journals. Okay. Now, the decision you take is the cloud storage company can allocate 50 lakhs to match the visibility that Microsoft Azure is doing. So you may allocate 30 lakhs to the trade shows and 10 lakh for journals and another 10 lakhs for demo booths wherever there is an occasion like. So you install demo booths and you can give a hands-on idea of how it works. So now comparative parity method basically helps maintain the competitive position. You can call it as the advantage. On the other hand, the disadvantage that we come across in this type of a method is it ignores the internal capabilities and unique strategic goals. Just because your competitor is spending so much, you may spend a similar amount. Possibly your executives, your management is way better, and you may have other capabilities or USP which will actually give you that mileage, and you do not have to spend that amount. So you blindly go with what the competitor is spending. Let's discuss another method, which we call it the affordable method. Uh, Affordable, all that you can afford. Uh, well, this is also referred as, this it usually we see in the B2B firms or startups. Um, and occasionally we also see this in the FMCG firms whenever they are in a cost cutting phase. Okay. Now, in B2B firms, let's take an example like a mid-sized consultancy may set its IMC budget based on whatever is left after the other expenditures are taken care of, like salaries or say operational expenses. After the amount for salaries and operation expenses are considered, whatever is left, you may allocate it to the marketing activities. Say suppose salaries will take 3 lakhs, after salaries and operations you are left with 3 lakhs. So you allocate that 3 lakhs to your marketing activities, which you may further divide, like for LinkedIn ads you may spend 1 lakh. For lead generation, you may spend a lakh, and for other networking events you may spend 1 lakh. Excuse me. Well, let us also see when this method, affordable method, is used in FMCG. Say suppose a regional FMCG player may also is interested to use this when marketing is not basically their primary activity. So they haven't planned much about marketing. Marketing isn't actually a regular activity, but to increase their market presence or to capture a higher sale, they may decide to spend some marketing on some marketing activities. So it's nothing much is allocated at the beginning. So whatever is left from that affordable limits, you may allocate some amount to the marketing activities. So, say suppose a local soap brand may not have big budget. So, after the production and distribution costs are met, sorry, after the production and distribution costs are met, they are left with 5 lakhs, which they can utilize for some organizational activities. So, they now are planning a marketing activity, so they can use that entire 5 lakhs for marketing, or may use a share of it and go for local newspaper advertising, or maybe they would spend for hoardings across the town. Sorry. There is one last method of planning a budget or allocating budget to marketing activities, which is a return on investment based budgeting. Well, this method is increasingly being adopted in the data driven business to business firms and also in digital FMCG campaigns. Now, say suppose an AI solutions firm might track the ROI of their pay-per-click campaign or content syndication to decide future spends. Let's take an example like a HR tech platform. A webinar campaigning costs around 2 lakhs, yielding about 50 high value clients, high value leads or prospects, you say, and around rupees 10 lakhs in signed contracts. So I repeat, like a webinar campaign costing around 2 lakhs can yield around 50 yield leads and around 10 lakhs of signed contracts. Investment is just 2 lakhs, and the yield is 10 lakhs, so it is 5 times. So this is for a quarter. So they may plan in the next quarter, if they increase the investment, and they can expect a higher number of high yielding leads, and also a business of say 5 times whatever they spend. So it's kind of revenue. So if they when they spent 2 lakhs, they got a business of 10 lakhs. So if they increase by 1 lakh, so in the next quarter, if they make an investment of 3 lakhs in the marketing activities, they can expect to get 3 times 5, 5 times 3, that is 15 lakhs revenue. So this kind of allocation is basically the data-driven allocation, and it allows for optimization as well. But the problem is like it requires attribution models and advanced analytics in order to come to such a conclusion, like how much would yield to what amount of revenue. We can think about a similar such application when it comes to FMCG as well. A e-commerce led FMCG organization uses performance metrics like cost per acquisition, or say return on ad spend, to adjust the social media budgets dynamically, and they make a decision. Suppose let's take a direct to consumer skincare brand, now spent around rupees 10 lakhs on Facebook ads in the last quarter, and they achieved a 5,000 conversion, generating around 50 lakhs in revenue. So a 10 lakhs of investment on Facebook has generated a 50 lakh revenue. So again, here it's 5 times the ad spend. Return on ad spend is 5 times. So then in the next quarter, they may increase the budget to 15 lakhs and expect a 75 lakh revenue. The toughest part in this, or the disadvantage here, is it requires accurate attribution models to predict the exact amount they need to spend, and they may also require some advanced analytics in order to make a decision on the amount to be allocated. Okay. Now that we have understood that these models can be used both in business to business and the FMCG firms, let us look at um, certain I mean, um, key factors that affect the IMC budget allocation. The first one is your marketing objectives. Are you doing this for brand awareness? Are you doing this for increasing market share? Okay. So based on it, now, now your budget tasks will be decided. So the nature of the objective, as mentioned, like awareness or lead generation or engagement or conversions, so they determine where the budget goes. Okay. So based on your marketing objectives, you may plan your um, budget. The other factor is like target audiences characteristics. Now, based on your target audiences nature, demographics, their media habits, their consumption patterns, their even the geographical concentration, you can say, based on your target's characteristic, you can depend. I mean, you can decide what kind of a marketing activity will reach you to your target customers. So if you're targeting Gen Z, more allocation on Instagram, YouTube, and influencer marketing is required. If you're targeting B2B decision makers, the focus may be on LinkedIn ads or white papers or say webinars, right? So based on your target audience's characteristic, your budget allocation varies. Now, the third factor can be product type and the life cycle stage. Is it in a growth stage, or is it in an introductory stage, or is it in a mature stage? So, if it is in the introductory stage, now you may go for more of awareness program. So, you may go for a TV ad or maybe a launch program. So, that would require a certain amount of budget. And if you are I mean, a mature brand may emphasize more on retention and loyalty. You may prefer to conduct more of CRM tasks or say loyalty programs. So based on it, the budget will be allocated. While the TV ads may cost you very high, and you require a high budget to be allocated in the initial stages of the product life cycle. In the later stages, CRM activities which may not require a huge budget, so you can plan accordingly. Also, the media effectiveness and the cost involved. Let's take the example of digital media, which allows a better targeting and ROI tracking. So, and the brands may shift the allocation from one to the other activity, or say high cost platforms like prime time TV are used sparingly if it is a flagship campaign, right? Um, well, then we can also decide the budget based on factors like your competitive strategy and the industry norms. In case of FMCG, if the competitors are heavily investing in festive season on TV campaigns, you may need to match it. Otherwise, you may lose the lose to the competition. Similarly, in B2B, if rivals are sponsoring key trade events, you may also allocate fund to similar such activities. The next factor can be like past campaign performances and the return on investment analysis. So, based on the historical data, what has worked for you and what hasn't, you may decide to redo similar activities or stop certain activities which are not helping build the voice of the brand voice or the market share. Okay. And now, say, suppose if influencer campaigns drove high ROI in the last quarter, then they may get a larger share the current budget allocation. Similarly, if print ads have failed to convert in the past, they may be reduced, totally removed from your ad campaign, I mean IMC campaigns. Also, budget allocation depends on the nature of sales cycle. Now, B2B firms with long financial, long cycles and are relationship-based sales. Now, you need to invest more in the content marketing or CRM activities or say events. Whereas in FMCG with very short purchase cycles, you may allocate more to reminder advertisements and also trade promotions or say POS displays. You need to allocate more. The next factor that affects your budget decision is your seasonality and timing. Seasonal trends and product demand cycles affect where the budget, when and where to allocate the budget. Which part of the year do you have to spend more? Which time of the year do you have to spend more? Say, suppose chocolates and gifts during the festive seasons. Uh, we have this Raksha Bandhan coming up so in the month of August. So this is the time there's a lot of advertisement that has to be done for products like chocolates or sweets, gifts, right? Similarly, in the case of B2B, say suppose agricultural B2B products, um, the focus maybe during the sowing seasons, right? Um, where you can advertise more and try to ensure the, the market presence and face the competition with the right strategy of reaching the target market. Uh, Factors like internal capabilities and agency support also affect the budget allocation. Now, the in-house versus outsourced model affects the costs and the allocation thereby. Now, like if the in-house design and content are strong, more budget can go to if the in-house design and content are strong, more budget can go to paid media instead of creative development. Likewise, firms with strong PR teams may spend less in the paid public relations. So, basing on the internal capabilities, you decide where to spend the money, and the other factor that can affect your budget decision are like the regulatory and cultural considerations. Like some sectors, like alcohol or pharma, have restrictions on advertising, which shifts the allocation to the non-traditional channels, or say you may go more for the sales promotions in this case instead of going for advertising. Similarly, like cultural sensitivity also affects media choice and language localization. So these cultural considerations may also impact on the kind of marketing activities you decide to engage. And at last, let us also consider a factor that is the channel integration needs, like the channels that you are engaging and how do you integrate them. So the more integrated campaigns require coordination across the channels. which may influence allocation to support omni-channel consistency. Uh, Example like say design adaptation. It has to have a synchronization with the different channels that you are engaging, and also like the content repurposing has to be there so that the message that the target audience gets from uh, one channel to the other seems similar and they are in sync, and the customers can sense this, and it really works like a reminder. Now, higher the coordination cost across the multi platform campaigns, better is the investment required. So, in case your channels need to be kept in sync, then you may have to bring in a um, a similarity or approach or say consistency in the message uh, and also the design of the program. Okay. I guess that's quite something that we discussed, and your material certainly gives certain other aspects covered in the material. So please go through it, and if you have any query, you can surely contact me on rajugopalsilla at gmail.com. Thank you.